Should you file for divorce first or wait and let your spouse do it? Here's the truth. In most divorces, it actually doesn't really matter. The court doesn't give extra points to the person who files first. You both have the same rights in the end. But there are times when filing first makes sense and makes your life easier. If you're the spouse who handled the bills, the kids' sign-ups, the paperwork, you're probably better suited to leave the divorce, even if you didn't want it. Divorce is paperwork and deadlines, not just waiting for a court date. Someone has to keep it moving. Other reasons to consider filing first. Well, you have control over the process. Sometimes it can give you more flexibility over the court location, and it also allows you to have more control over the timeline. So as an example, in most states, your spouse doesn't need to file the typical responsive documents if you both ultimately can come to an agreement. But if you can't, through mediation or on your own, then one of two things usually need to happen. Either you need to file a default to move forward without your spouse, or your spouse needs to file, a document so they are technically in the game, meaning that they can participate in a contested divorce. As the filing spouse, you can choose to hold off on a default if you and your spouse are working towards an agreement. Number 2, your type of divorce. In some states, if your spouse files first, they could start a fault-based divorce or skip the joint option that in many states can make things faster. Number 3, your unresponsive spouse. If your spouse sometimes disappears, stalls, or refuses to engage, filing first can keep the process in your hands. But here's the part I want you to hear. In the vast majority of divorces, who files first doesn't change the outcome. At Hello Divorce, we usually have the spouse who's more of the doer file or the one ready to move things forward, but the other spouse can still go through the same steps on our platform, still have the same transparency, just with 1 or 2 fewer filings. So here's the takeaway. Filing first is about logistics and control, not necessarily winning. If you're ready, organized, and want to move things forward, go ahead. If not, don't panic. Waiting doesn't necessarily mean losing rights.